بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. Tonight, inshallah ta'ala, we're continuing our conversation on the fiqh of fasting and zakat al-fitr. As these two chapters of fiqh are the most impactful, particularly during the month of Ramadan. We enter the month of Ramadan initially by the sight of the moon. Allah Ta'ala says, فَمَنْ شَهِدَ مِنْكُمُ الشَّهْرَ فَلْيَصُمْ. The one who sees, meaning that you see with your eye, naked eye, that there isn't like a tool, for example, or something that would prevent you, or something that would see in place of your eye. This is the intended meaning behind the verse, فَمَنْ شَهِدَ مِنْكُمُ الشَّهْرَ فَلْيَصُمْ. But as we see often, and I'm simply speaking from fiqh, I'm not speaking about people or masajid or communities, but I'm speaking generally. Different communities take different approaches. With modern technology, many of the communities, they begin to look using calculations. Rather than look, they say the moon, we expect it to appear on a certain date or to be a phase on a certain date, and that's how we begin the month. Other communities will do something called global moon sighting, where if they see one community that sights the moon, they'll follow that community. Right? Let's say, for example, in Morocco, they went and they spotted the moon in Morocco. And so they say, okay, because Morocco spotted the moon, we will begin our fast. The third group, what they will do is, they will go and send a party to go and view the moon. They'll go to like High Point State Park in North Jersey, all the way in the corner, northwest, for example. They go to the highest place where there is no light pollution or anything, and they will go and try to spot the moon. The best practice, the first one, the one that the community in general, not you specifically, but the community, meaning the ummah of Muslims in New Jersey, they're obligated to go look for the moon with their eye. One of us has to send somebody. The obligation is upon the community generally. So the leaders, they'll get together, maybe 4 or 5 masajid, they'll say, okay, we're going to send like a group. They're going to go and just before Maghrib set up and wait for when the moon comes into appearance. The way you spot the moon is you look around the horizon, you look across to the horizon, and you will see the new month, the moon for the new month. There's only a short glimpse of it. You'll get like a short glimpse of it, and then it will go away. It is a very thin crescent. Okay? It requires an expert, but I mean a couple of YouTube videos. I've seen people fix cars with YouTube videos. More complicated things than looking for a moon. Okay? So it's not really that complicated to do. Right? But it could be something where a group of people go and they spot it. This is the obligation upon the whole community. The obligation upon you as an individual is to ask the masjid and say, are we beginning fasting today or tomorrow? That's it. The obligation upon you is to confirm the fast with the masjid. That's it. You're not somebody who's going out and looking. Nobody has appointed you with any of these actions, so you should be fine. There is a possibility, however, that nobody saw a moon. That nobody saw a moon. The entire world of Muslims did not see a single moon. Or maybe you live in like North Africa, and it already got nighttime, people slept, and then California saw the moon. Khalas, it's over. There's no global sighting, right? You can't go and be like, okay, well, California saw it. The day is up, and khalas, you've already woken up and broken your fast, right? So you would continue, and you would break your fast, and you would fast the next day, and that next day would be Ramadan 1 for you. And you would be praying a day behind, fasting a day behind those in California, for example. Happens. The world is big. It's not like a small area, right? It's just we benefit from being able to communicate. But back in the day, especially during the earlier days of Islam, People were all over the place. Nobody was able to communicate if you were in China, you were definitely not able to tell people in Morocco that fasting began, unless if it was like 2 months later, you told them that. Right? So that the communication was a little bit shorter. So, fasting of the month of Ramadan is faridah. It's observed upon sighting the crescent moon and ends upon sighting it again, whether the month completes 30 days or it's 29 days. If the crescent is obscured, meaning you can't see it, then the previous month is counted as 30 days, and thereafter fasting begins. The same ruling applies for Eid al-Fitr. You come out 28, you go try to spot the moon. 29, you go try to spot the moon. You don't see it 28 and 29, guess what? You're completing the fast for 30. You see it on 29? Fantastic. Right? And then you finish the fast and you do it for 29 days. Does this make sense? Should be fairly easy. It's not too complicated, but it is something that I think a lot of communities, maybe in the future, inshallah, maybe next year, we'll do a group from MCNJ and we'll go and try to spot the moon in High Point. Maybe we'll do the YM. We'll do it for YM. All the boys will go out there. It'll be really cold though. it'll be freezing, but it'll be a fun experience, inshallah. Tayyib. We said that intention for fasting, one intention, the beginning of the month. If, for example, for women, they stop fasting because of their menstruation cycle, they need another intention once they come back in to resume the fast. They're intending to resume the fast. That's it. You do not need to make an intention every single day for fasting. Just once for the beginning of the month, it should be enough for the rest. If you are traveling, if a traveler arrives home while having broken their fast, or a menstruating woman becomes pure during the day, they are permitted to eat for the rest of the day. However, if a person deliberately breaks their voluntary fast, or if they break it due to travel, they must make it up, qada. A voluntary fast is a fast that's outside of the month of Ramadan, like now if you did it. If someone forgets and eats while fasting voluntarily, meaning for the sunnah fast. If sunnah fast, you drank coffee by accident, you forgot, or water by accident. Not Ramadan, sunnah fast. Then you don't need to make up the day. You just need to make up the fast. We mentioned pregnant and nursing women. That pregnant and nursing women are excused from fasting due to their condition. If they're able to give their child to another woman to breastfeed, for example, while they're fasting or do that and they're able to fast and balance their life out like that, no issue. If they're feeding their children with formula, no issue. Right? But breast milk is probably the best for the child. And so for any woman who is breastfeeding, that she's allowed to skip her fast. She can break the fast and is not required. For a pregnant woman, she can break the fast and she's not required to do or feed the poor for that one day that she missed. A nursing woman, she's allowed to break her fast, but she must pay one meal for someone that day. It's called fidya. You give that and it's fine. Khalas. Ta'ami miskin. Just one person, that's. It's not a penalty, it's simply just to feed in your place. That's it. Consider it like a toll. Right? The elderly who are unable to fast, what do? They skip the fast and they pay on behalf of themselves for one person, one meal. So for example, if the meal is $13, they pay $13 for every day that they miss fasting. If they're doing the whole month, 13 times 30 for the 30 days, and then that's what they're paying. They pay each day. They pay each day. What about the children? Are children obligated to fast, guys? No, right? So what we do is we begin to teach our children. So they might do a half day, a quarter of a day. We get them used to the schedule of fasting, but they're not required to fast. طيب, any questions on this review? You guys are okay? Yeah. You don't have to, sorry, you finished the day of fasting. You don't have to make it up. My apology, I misspoke. You finished the day of fasting. It counts as the day. I mean, as long as you didn't, if you drank accidentally and then you said, I broke my fast, and you continued, khalas, you've broken your fast. But if it was a simple drink, quick, and then you realize, oops, I made a mistake, you don't have to make that up. What if you do that in Ramadan? What is the ruling? You mistakenly eat something in Ramadan. What do you do now? You make up the day, and what else do you do? You finish the fast. You make up the day and finish the fast if it's a Ramadan. Because we're extra secure about Ramadan. But for nafil, because it's nafil, it's not obligated. Right? It's an extra fast, so it's allowed for you not to make it's allowed for you not to have to make up that day, and simply you complete the day of fasting without any issue. طيب. What about traveling? What about traveling? Can the traveler break their fast? Yes, right? When does a traveler break their fast? Do they break their fast in the middle of the day or before Fajr? That means yes. So that means that you would have to travel before Fajr. If you are traveling in the middle of the day, you complete your fast to the end of the day. Make sense? So if I already started and my flight's at noon, then I get on my flight at noon, I don't break my fast. I wait till the time of Maghrib. I wait till the time of Maghrib from where I left, and I break my fast. That's it, done. No issue. Sometimes you're on the plane for many hours, right? So you go like, okay, 12 o'clock, Maghrib is in 8 hours from when I left, right? So 8 hours from 12 o'clock is 8 o'clock. Okay, great, excellent. I'll break my fast at 8, right? I just will have to wait 8 hours. That's all. We continue from there. I'm just reviewing right now before we get into Zakat al-Fitr. طيب. The suhoor. What is suhoor? The meal before the fast. The meal before the fast. It's recommended to have a meal before the fast. If I miss suhoor, is the fast valid? Yes. Right? If I miss iftar, is the fast valid? Yes. You may miss one, you may miss the other, but the fast is valid. Like, and it's recommended what? To break your food, to begin your fast with food, and to quickly break your fast with iftar. Okay? Be careful though. Be careful. Typically the time on the cell phones is off maybe by a minute or two. So wait like a minute or two, confirm, look outside. If you see the sun set correctly, then you know it's Maghrib time. Okay, make sure that you give the phone a minute or two. But for Fajr, different story. For Fajr, the earlier the better. So if you see that the adhan for Fajr came off, stop immediately. And remove any food from your mouth. Don't continue eating. That's it. The best is to get up maybe like an hour before Fajr. You make your suhoor, everything is ready, you eat your small breakfast, and then you pray Fajr immediately, and then you go to sleep or you continue with your day. Okay. Any questions about that? All right. There are days when fasting itself is not allowed. Fasting is not allowed on the 1st of Shawwal. What is the 1st of Shawwal? The 1st of Shawwal. Shawwal is the month after Ramadan. What's the first day of Shawwal? What would that be? Eid. Eid al-Fitr. There's no fasting on Eid al-Fitr. The 10th of Dhul Hijjah is Eid al-Adha. There's no fasting on Eid al-Adha. The 2 days that follow Eid al-Adha, 11th and 12th of Dhul Hijjah, are also you're not allowed to fast on those days. The 4th day after Eid al-Adha cannot be fasted voluntarily, but it may be observed if someone had a vow, or if someone was observing a continuous fast. Does that make sense? And you swore, you said, Wallahi, and then khalas, you made an issue. Not now, you made a problem, and it turns out you were lying. Right? And you needed to make up, and that was the first day that you could make it up. Then khalas, you make it up on that day. Otherwise, you shouldn't be fasting on that day. So the 4 days after, meaning the 3 days after Eid al-Fitr, 3 days after Eid al-Adha, Eid al-Adha itself, and Eid al-Fitr. Those are the days we're not allowed to be fasting. What about the days of Shawwal that the Prophet ﷺ said to fast from the days of Shawwal? According to Imam Malik, that can be any day in the year after Ramadan, excluding any of the haram dates for you not to, or the impermissible dates for you, like Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha, excluding those dates. Then you can fast any of those days, and that would comply with the sunnah of fasting the requirement or the sunnah days of Shawwal. If you break your fast, we said that there's two there are two problems with breaking your fast. Either you did so deliberately or accidentally. We explain the accident. If you do it deliberately, either by eating, drinking, or intercourse, or any sort of ejaculation that's caused by direct stimulation, the expiation for that is feeding 60 poor people. Alternatively, you can free a slave, or you can fast 2 consecutive months for each of those days that you made a mistake in. If a person deliberately breaks up a make-up fast for Ramadan, for example, you're making up a fast for Ramadan, and you purposely broke your fast, no expiation is required, but you do have to make up that day. That's it. Because those are technically obligated days, not sunnah days. You owe those days from the past Ramadan that you missed. Any questions about that? About the penalty? Yes.
So let's say, for example, 50 months, you're fasting them in the middle of it, you're eating like how
Yeah, you skip those days.
skip those days, but
You continue, you place them at the end.
you can still continue. I'm saying that the continuous nature.
Yeah, it counts. It counts, yeah, it counts. Yom Ashak is the day that we don't know if it's Ramadan or not. Yes, that you're not allowed to fast that day. So if we don't see the moon, that's Yom Ashak, meaning the day of confusion. We don't see the moon, and then you see, this is why it's problematic when the calculation people and the moon people line up together. Because technically the moon people are right, you're not supposed to fast on that day. But the calculation people are like, no, the moon is there. But the problem is technically speaking, from what Allah told us, the moon isn't there. We know it's there. But Allah didn't give you that problem. He made it easy for you to avoid that day that you don't know. So fasting on that day that you don't know is technically haram. You're not supposed to fast that day. Right? You're supposed to wait till the first day of Ramadan. That's when you begin the fast. But that's talking about the fast of Ramadan itself. If it's like a sunnah fast, it could be allowed. If you were intending a sunnah fast anyways, I don't know why, but if you were intending a sunnah fast, then yeah, it would be allowed. And Allah Ta'ala, by the way, for fasting and for any of these days that you want to miss, Allah says, وَأَن تُصُومُوا خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ. If you wish to fast, it's better for you. But if you want to skip, no issue. We now move into, we also mentioned, we said any of the injections, they don't break the fast, with the exception of the ones that have some sort of like nutritional value, right? Unless if somebody is like very sick, then if you're very sick, then it's a whole other category. Then we put you in a different bin. Because if you're very sick, then why, you can skip the fast if you're very sick. Or this now becomes the area of doctor and mufti. So doctor has to come and give you some sort of medical permission, look at your condition and tell you what you can or cannot do, right? But any of the injections, say you had a doctor's appointment while you're fasting and he said he's going to give you a COVID shot or something like that, then that wouldn't break your fast. If he's giving you like insulin for diabetes or something like that, that wouldn't break your fast. And Allah knows best. Right? The reason why is because it doesn't go directly to the stomach. Anything that doesn't go directly to the stomach is allowed. Alright, let's talk about Zakat al-Fitr. Zakat al-Fitr is what's required at the end of the month. Right? The Imam will get up on Friday and he'll be like, Zakat al-Fitr is owed. Right? If you want, there's a box in the back, and he'll make a whole announcement. And we hear it every year, and we never understand its impact until you start making your own money. Then you have to worry about this. So, Zakat al-Fitr is a mandatory sunnah upon every Muslim, young or old, male or female. Young, old, male or female, sick or healthy, mandatory. The amount is 1 sa'. You know what a sa' is? A sa' is like a hand, right? Like a handful per person. It's measured by the Prophet ﷺ sa'. And this must be paid in staple food for the region. For example, if I go to Thailand, if I'm a Muslim in Thailand, what is the staple food in Thailand? Rice. It's probably going to be rice. If I am a Muslim in Morocco, it's going to be like grains. Maybe like some form of semolina grain or any of the like to mimic the couscous that they eat. Like that. Okay? Likewise, in Pakistan, I'm going to assume it's rice too, right? It's going to be some sort of rice or corn, or maybe it's raisins. Could be dried cheese, it could be dates, it could be barley or wheat. But that level of base ingredients is what you give to people for zakat al-fitr. Some scholars also said that a small grain, there's other types of grain that could possibly be given. I think here in the US, what they usually do is they create like a care package, and it typically has like flour and sugar and different materials. The Masjid Zakat Committee is the one that takes care of this, right? The masjid is the one who, at this point in time, would be the ones responsible for distributing zakat al-fitr. So, who pays zakat al-fitr? Zakat al-fitr is paid by a father, the head of the household, on behalf of his children who do not own wealth. A man must pay zakat al-fitr on behalf of every Muslim under his financial care. You say you have a wife and 2 kids. You pay yourself, your wife, and your 2 kids. That's 4 people. So you're paying for 4 sa'as. Right? If it's just 2 people, you and your wife, 2. If you have 3 people in the household, then it's just 3. The best time is to give it at dawn on the day of Eid. Right after Fajr, you go and you give it to the people that need it. A man must pay zakat al-fitr. We said it is preferred that one eats before going to Salat al-Eid. So you go and you give your zakah, and you eat something for before Salat al-Eid. Typically 1 date or 3 dates, something of an odd number, and you go out. Sorry? For who? No, he has to be in your house. Maybe like he's your son or your wife. Oh, somebody in your place, and you give him money to pay for you. You hire someone in your place? Oh. Okay. Yeah, you would pay for him. Yeah. If he's in your house and he depends on you, you pay for him. Or his family pays for him. His family pays for him. If he's not working. If he's working, then he pays. If he has his own income, then he pays. Yeah, then he pays. He pays. He doesn't have to, you don't pay for him, he pays. Yeah, he pays. The head of the household or the man? If you live alone, there's no household, right? No, somebody, if I have my son and I tell him go pay on my behalf, here's the money, that's fine. It's just the money came from me. That's the whole point. Yeah, you're the head of the household now. It's whoever's making money. You know, in the tax form, when they say who's the head of the household, that's who we're worried about. The financial head of the household, right? That's who's paying the bills, right? Typically, and it goes to the man, right? Maybe the wife makes more than the husband, but it's still the man's responsibility to pay zakat al-fitr. For zakat al-fitr, you give it at dawn on the day of Eid. That's recommended before Salat al-Eid. And it's preferred that one eats before he goes to Salat al-Eid. What about Eid al-Adha? Do you pay zakat al-fitr for Eid al-Adha? Why? Zakat al-fitr is only for Eid al-Fitr. That's it. Eid al-Adha has no payments. Okay? The Sunnah acts for both Eids. It's recommended to take one route to Salat al-Eid and return from another route. Okay? Let's say you take route 9 or route 1 one way, you go and you take the turnpike the other way. That's for example, that completes the Sunnah for you. Zakat, we said that for that, in that case, Zakat al-Fitr, it's 1 sa' per person in the household. It's recommended that it is done before Salat al-Eid. It's done by the head of the household. For every male who's in that household who's making money, he's responsible. If suddenly, like say for example, a son is now making money, he's a grown man, and he lives with his dad in the same house, and he has his family and his dad has his family. Son pays for his family, dad pays for his family. Right? Until the son is now the financial provider for everyone, then that's a different story. Then the son pays on behalf of every person in his family. Okay? If you think of a case where somebody can't afford zakat al-fitr, they're the ones who receive zakat al-fitr. Okay? If you go like, oh, well, what if I can't afford it? You're the one who gets zakat al-fitr. Zakat al-fitr is distributed first, priority to the Muslims. It's given to any of the Muslims in the area who are fuqara or masakin. Masakin meaning like he's not like poor, but he's down on hard times. Right? Maybe he's working at like maybe he drives like a Uber bicycle or something like that, and he's barely paying bills or something like that, or he's new to the country, or maybe he's like a student or something like that. He doesn't have any money or needs help with bills. That's who you give the money to first. The Muslims. You take care of the Muslimin first. Once you have confirmed that all of the Muslims are taken care of from zakat al-fitr, then you give it to whoever is in the neighborhood from the non-Muslims and those alike. Right? Ahl al-Kitab, of course, first before those of not Ahl al-Kitab. Allahu a'lam. Yeah. Mm-hmm. No. Yeah. In the East, what happens is one dad and like all of his sons, they all live in the same house. That's normal. That's how it always was, even from the time of the Rasul. But he said the head of the household, meaning the father of the kids and the husband of the wife. He's paying for his kids. But the son already has a family, so he's now on his own. Now he pays for his wife and his kids. No responsibility. Everybody's separate. They're in the same house, but everybody's separate. Mm-hmm. If the males okay, so the girls are technically under the father until they're married. They're not considered their own household. The son could technically be considered his own household if he's independent from his father. If he's still with his father and still like a youth, like hanging around and doing things, he's still a son. He's still a son to his father. He's not independent yet. Yeah, he should be paying. He can pay zakat al-fitr, but I don't believe that he's required yet. I don't know if he's required yet. I'm not sure for that case. I don't think so. Right? Because in this case, he's still under, the father is paying all of the bills for the house, the taxes, the utilities, the food. The son doesn't pay anything. He's a bum. He needs to get married. That's what he needs to do. Of course there's cases. Yeah. Yeah, you can contribute, but he's still not considered the head of the household. When he files, the government is still like, the government has now removed them from the dependents because he's too old for dependents. But even in that case, he's still under the care of his dad. He hasn't left his dad's home and ventured off and had his own family and established that yet. Right? I don't know the line. I'm not sure about the line. At what age do we flip it? Because now, it used to be before, when he's 20 years old, he's a man, like he's not even just a man, like he's an old man at 20 years old, right? But nowadays, 30 is probably the new old man, right? Or the new like grown man, like you should be out. Now it's not even 30, I think it's like 40 years old. 40 is like, now we would say you need to pay your own zakah, buddy. Like 40 for real. Right, but 30 is now like he's looking for marriage at 30 years old. Right, it's different now. It's a little bit different. So I'm not sure actually with that question, because it seems like the line has moved. Right. If he earns a livelihood, like let's say he's a software engineer, he's paying his own zakah. If he's like a McDonald's manager, maybe. I don't know, because it depends. It's like totally dependent on how much money he's making. I'm not sure. But if we can say, like for example, now he could get married, have cars, have a house, but he just lives with his dad. He's a bum, but he's paying zakah, right? That's fine. Or maybe he's on hard times. Allahu a'lam. That's fine too. That's okay. Everybody has their own lifestyle. Like it's no big deal, right? But yeah, we need to get everybody moving. That's all. But yes, so if he's making his own independent income, and he's good, his own livelihood, he's paying for himself. If he's making his own livelihood, the father doesn't pay for him. He pays for the other girls. So the condition for the sons is until they make their own livelihood. The condition for the daughter is until they get married. Okay? Is that clear? All right. If there are poor parents, they're financially dependent on him, he pays for them. If he has a stepmother, if she is poor and under his care, he pays for her. A stepmother meaning his father married a woman that wasn't his mother, and maybe his father passed away, and that lady stayed around. She doesn't have anyone to take care of her, so she goes under the care of her ex-husband or her former husband's, her son, right? Her stepson. So she goes under her stepson. That's all. طيب. Any other questions? Yeah.
Does it have to be, can it be given, and something with this, can it be given overseas, or is it better to give to like the local area?
Here. It's best here.
Same thing with fidya as well?
Yeah, best here. Best here if possible. Fidya is a little bit more confusing because the masjid doesn't really, I don't know if masajid are actively doing fidya, right? So it's best like, you can probably look at, I'm not sponsoring them, but I'm saying like ICNA Relief, Islamic Relief, they probably have like an online, they have like online portals for that. If you have a connect overseas, give it overseas. You want to give it to like people who need it, give it to people who need it, no issue. You can, yeah, you can. It's best here, like the zakat always is best here, right? Because it's kind of like, it's like, what's it called? Hypocritical if we're like, we come to the masjid in a nice car, and the car parked to you is like beat up and destroyed, and he's like begging for zakat money, and all of us are sending zakat overseas, right? It's a little messed up for him. Yani we should be helping him. He's right here. He needs to be taken care of, right? One of your brothers or one of your sisters, like that, or maybe a new convert in Islam, and they've come into Islam and they need some financial support, like that. Zakat al-Fitr, we said. For Salat al-Eid, it's supposed to be done before heading to Eid prayer. The Prophet ﷺ, it was said about him, he would not go on the morning of Eid until he had eaten some dates. It is recommended to go before going to the prayer ground on Eid al-Fitr. Eid al-Fitr typically is prayed on a large ground area, big area, brings everybody together. Okay, open area, typically like outside. In the masjid it's still allowed, but it's best to pray it outside in a big open area, and it gathers like everyone, like thousands of Muslims, right? And the idea is we have one prayer for the entire city. Okay, so imagine for Edison, like for example, we would take all of the masjids in Edison, MCNJ, Al-Wali, and all of those random other Islamic centers, and we would all like get the high school football field, and we would pray there, and we'd all pray on the football field. That's the best place to pray Eid al-Fitr. And this is the end of the chapter for zakat on Eid al-Fitr, and it's the end of our review of the fiqh for Ramadan. May Allah Azza wa Jal accept from us, and may He give us a month of fasting and ibadah, and make us from His awliya as-salihin. Ameen ya Rabb. This is a beautiful month. Take advantage of this month. When you make a mistake during this month, you will sin and make errors. Ask Allah for forgiveness. It's a month of forgiveness. When you do good, remember that Allah rewards it multiple times. So be quick on doing good. And when you come to the masjid for salah, remember that you benefit so long as you are in the masjid. That you receive ajr and thawab even if you're just sitting in the masjid. So take advantage of the time that you're in the house of Allah. When you're not able to come to the masjid, know that your reward for taraweeh is equal even at home. So pray it at home. You don't need to have a long surah for taraweeh. Could be a short surah. You could say قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ النَّاسِ الْفَلَقِ. You can do all of these short surahs as much as you need during this month. It's best when you pray Salat Taraweeh not to hold the Mus'haf in your hand. I see some people, they pray Taraweeh and they hold a phone. Not allowed to hold a phone in Taraweeh. Can't hold a phone. It's not a Mus'haf. Right? The whole point of Salah, one of the actions of Salah, is that your actions should look like the actions of prayer. If I do jumping jacks, am I praying in Salah? No, I look crazy. Okay? If I'm jumping up and down and reading the Surah Al-Fatiha, no, this contradicts the Salah. This is too many actions in prayer. Okay? If I'm holding my phone and I'm reading my phone, does it look like I'm praying or reading my phone? Looks like I'm reading my phone. So we should put the phone away. Right? The one who can hold a mushaf, is for a special need. Maybe the imam, he's leading the prayer, but the second imam He's holding the mushaf to make sure that the Quran is recited correctly. That's allowed. That's it. That's the only thing that's allowed. The Imam himself, if he wishes to have the mushaf in front of him, technically he can. He just can't hold it in his hands. It has to be like in front of him, maybe on a holder like this, and he can't touch the page or anything like that. So if you're praying at home and you don't know the surah, but you want to read from the surah, you can leave the mushaf in front of you, and you can just do your prayer, read one page, and then read the other page. And when you finish your one rak'ah is the one page, the second rak'ah is the other page. When you finish your two rak'ahs, you turn the page and you start again. Okay, you can do it that way. Salat al-Taraweeh, minimum is 8. Anything more is a gift to Allah, alhamdulillah. There's no issue. If the masjid is praying 20, that's the best. Right, 22, 24. If they pray 36, no issue. Do as much as you want. Okay, there's no technically a minimum and maximum. Right, all of this technically from a fiqh standpoint, anything that you do after Taraweeh, after Salat al-Isha, from all of the sunnahs, all of that is considered Taraweeh. So the actions of the companions was that typically they either did 8, they either did 22, or they did 36. Allah knows best. No issue. So if a masjid is doing 20, 22 or 21 or whatever, say Allahu Akbar, alhamdulillah, no issue. I'll go as long as I can. If they do 36, no problem. Actually, 36 is better. 36 is a very quick rak'ah. It's like 3 ayat, 4 ayat. Allahu Akbar. And you're going to be it's going to be like breezy. You're not even going to feel it. The 8 rak'ahs, that's really hard. Because they'll do a long rak'ah. Because they have to do all of the ayat and the pages. They have to catch the hizb or whatever. Is it required to do khatam of Quran in Ramadan? No, not. It's just a benefit. There's barakah in the khatam of Quran. What happens when the masjid does the khatam of Quran? Come for the dua and sit. The dua is answered by Allah. All of the angels, they come and they answer. They say Ameen. The dua on the khatam of Quran, even from your own self. While they're doing dua, you make dua on your own, it's answered from Allah Ta'ala. And of course, the last 10 nights of Ramadan, you never know which of them is Laylatul Qadr. Many of the ulama, they said 27. And then a lot of other ones, they said it's one of the odd nights. Allah knows best. The last 10 nights is the one that is what the Prophet ﷺ described them as. So the odd nights are the best of nights. If it's an even night, what do? Same as you would do on an odd night. You're going to let Ramadan go without making dua? No. What about all of the da'wats? You guys call them da'wats, right? When some people call you over for a dinner, right? There's barakah in this. So if somebody calls you for food, go and join the food. If somebody asks for you to help make food for your guests. There's reward for guests and there's reward for feeding people, right? And feed as much people as you can. And when you go, don't deprioritize the salah. Pray the salah in the jama'ah at home if you wish, or if you're close to the masjid, come to the masjid. But don't make it difficult for others. And sometimes you have like this whole meal, and like they would do sometimes maghrib is at 6 o'clock, and then they do isha at 7. Craziness. The whole da'wat, within an hour, everybody has to run to the masjid. This is impossible. People are going to be like fish stuffing food in their mouths. It's not a good idea. Right? So be considerate of the timings. Right? The best is to go to the masjid and pray in the masjid. If you have a da'wat or whatever it is, then offer salah in the house. Say we're going to pray here at jama'at together, and Allah will accept the reward, inshallah. That's it. Any other questions? Yeah. The son.
The daughters also in transfer to him.
Yeah. They have to. Because if the father passed away, may Allah bless our fathers, but if he passes away, the son would be in charge of ensuring that those daughters get married. Right? His sisters get married. Because he's the one who's going to protect his sisters. Maybe an uncle is around, it's possible, or maybe someone else, but technically the uncle is not the head of their household. Right? Unless if like those kids are still young, and then it becomes, okay, now he can go under the care of the uncle. The uncle will take care of them. That's how it is. Okay. Any last questions? Alhamdulillah. This is beautiful. We did a perfect half hour. May Allah accept from us and forgive us. Ameen. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa barak ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.